Happy Sunday! Welcome back to Tech Talks. Today we'll be discussing 7 reasons why every company should be using password managers. So let's start off with the first one. First one is going to be the ease of use, especially for the end users. So for example, I know, it's hard to remember multiple passwords. And so when you're utilizing a password manager, you are able to keep all of your passwords in one vault. And I know some people might say, well, the browser, you're able to store your passwords on the browser and, it does autofill. But that's not secure. And so now going on to another one is the whole idea of it being more secure than the autofill on your browsers. So for example, I use a lot of Apple products. And so even on iOS in the cloud, you're able to save your passwords across different tech between your iPhone and your iPad and your MacBook. However, those are not as secure as password managers, different softwares, especially because there's higher level of security, especially when trying to get into those. And so obviously it's almost like the same idea. However, you're wanting that heightened security, and so that leads into the next one would be number 3 is preventing phishing and different threats, because if you accidentally click on a phishing email, it will take you to a different domain, and the password manager will know that that is not the correct domain. And so then it is able to notify you as like, hey, you don't have a password on here. And then now you are, mitigating that risk of giving your information, especially during a phishing threat. So let's go on to number 3, which is going to be no more use of the personal passwords. And I don't want to share what my passwords used to be before getting into the industry, but they were pretty easy to figure out. And so and I know with a lot of people though, it's hard to remember how are we going to create different special characters for every single one and every single password and making it different. And I know it's a lot to remember, keep track, and then how do you keep it track in a more secure place as well. And so definitely when you're utilizing these password managers, is you are able to, it will automatically, when you are logging on or signing up, it will automatically allow you to generate a special character and a strong password. So that's where you're going to be eliminating those different weak passwords that you might have across 5 platforms, or even your password's the same for every single one. And so then if there's a data breach, for example, with a company that you've used the same password with, then you don't know that hey, now they have this password, and oh shoot, that can get into my bank, or that can get into a loan, or whatever it might be. And then when you're talking about in terms of security for the business is oh, now they can get into X, Y, and Z software, or so it's all that chain, the chain effect. And so going into the whole data breach domino effect of they get one password, your data's leaked on one website, and now it's leaked on 10 different ones because you're using that same password. So when you have the password managers, you're able to create that unique password for every single platform you're utilizing and for your employees to be utilizing. And I know it's hard, and I said it before, is it's hard to remember different passwords for every single one. And how do you remember, and how am I not hitting forget my password every time I create a new password? And so that kind of leads into the next one, which is taking a load off of the IT team in terms of having to get the calls 24/7 of I forgot my password, I forgot my password, I forgot my password. And I know even companies is they're getting those email or calls all the time as I forgot my password, now my account's locked, I need help. And it's how do you make that more effectively and secure? And so when you have your employees utilizing these password managers, you're able to mitigate a lot of those back-end headaches of getting those calls. And so, and with the technologies, especially, is you also have to look at it in terms of the ease of use, because I have tested out multiple password manager companies actually, and there have been some that, just, it was a little bit trickier and it was a little bit harder, honestly, to, fill in your password or have it detect the password, especially on the correct domain. And so making sure, I have one now that I really like, and just making sure that it is, though, ease of use, especially for employees, to make sure that they are utilizing it. And that kind of leads into the next, which is going to be that you're able to have more control now over if your employees are changing their passwords when they're supposed to, and making sure that they're updating it every so weeks, whatever the policy is in place with your company. Is just making sure that that is updated, because you do not want any or application critical being a part of a data breach and then getting into it. And so when you're able to have this platform, you're able to mitigate a lot of those risks. And I personally think it is very important, and especially just, even from a consumer perspective, I get emails all the time from different, websites that, oh, there's been a data breach, and, and so you just want to be able to mitigate those risks, and trying to put a procedure and put a policy in place of how do we mitigate this. And if you're not utilizing one today, you can always reach out to me, and I could give you recommendations on a few different platforms depending on the size of business. But I have a few that I really like and I have used for a while now that are very secure, and even some have different add-ons, and just being able to effectively utilize a password manager is definitely huge. And I know from a perspective from the employee side is, okay, I don't want something that you have to log into this, that, and the other, and you're making it a lot more difficult. And so if you're able to protect and eliminate, and when you're mitigating these risks, you are definitely going to have a better posture in place. And like I said in multiple videos now, is that making sure you're just taking those stepping stones, and it's just one step at a time. And if you don't know where to start, I always say you can always reach out to me, but just making sure that you are taking those steps to protect the business, and it's just taking it one step at a time. So with that, happy Sunday, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and have a great week.